Next person's Hudson13. Hudson, you are on stream.
Hey, Hudson, you're on the Hasan show.
Thanks, Austin.
You're welcome.
Their mic is muted.
Allegedly sponsored by Cash App. Allegedly.
Thank you.
It's not. Don't say that. Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh, here come the fucking tweets. Here come the Reddit threads, dude.
Oh shit. No, he's not. It's not. It was a joke.
No, nope. Too late, dude. It's over. Fucking the Reddit threads are alive already. What's up, Hudson?
Hi. I've been watching you for about the last 9 months or so. We've got a few things in. We're both dumb leftists. So himbos, if I may. I was diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, so I've been working with that the last couple years. And I've been dealing with issues with alcohol as an adult too. And I got my second DUI actually this March after I lost my job that I had for 5 years. So I graduated college thanks to my family, keeping me afloat. And I've been sober again for the last 9 months or so. But
congratulations.
Yep.
Thank you. But that added a lot to an already not great year. So I think my main thing is like, how do I just like forgive myself for knowing that I kind of knowing full well what I did could have been much worse, and it continues to have like such a huge impact on the people around me.
Well, I don't know if anyone else wants to jump on this, but
I
have
can
personal
jump.
experience in the matter. But Will, like let me talk about it real quick, and then
yeah, go for it.
Yeah,
go for it.
As far as like what has happened, there's absolutely no use relitigating it in your mind and like contemplating what the worst possible scenarios might have been. You got very lucky. You got lucky twice, so you're incredibly lucky. You should never fuck up like that ever again. So understand the severity of it. But I'm glad that you're recovering. I'm glad that you're not drinking. You're sober for 9 months, as you said. And these are tough times to be sober through regardless. This is when a lot of people relapse because of isolation and because of COVID. So you're already doing great. You just got to live it one day at a time. Put one foot in front of the other. But as far as thinking about what has happened already, as far as thinking about like getting a DUI and whatnot, it's over. Nothing you say or do will change that reality, right? Nothing you say or do will change that reality. So this is just a part of your life. There's nothing wrong with it. Many people have fucked up in the past. I am a great example of this. I got arrested for DUI, as you know. That's why you probably pointed that out when I was young.
Fantastic. So the blind leading the blind, as it were. But no, he is right. Like, ultimately, you as a man, you need to be in control of all aspects of your life. And, being addicted to illicit substances or even regular substances is not the way to go. And we already know that. Hello and welcome to the HeliosBlog. Ooh, what happened to my face here? Let me recalibrate. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. If you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon with exclusive content. Patreon.com/theheliosblog. Again, it's patreon.com/theheliosblog. You could also drop me a donation, like Hunter M, Adrian R, Tom M. Shout outs to them. You see, guys, the donations keep on piling up. I mean, you could also add. I really do appreciate it, guys. Okay, let's continue.
Younger, and you just have to learn to live with it. And recognize that it doesn't do anything. It doesn't take away from you at all, and it's not that big of a deal. It's not that significant as long as you are, as long as you're continuing to make yourself a better person. One argument that I've always had, or one thing that I've always believed in, is like, the way I rationalize certain things that happens in my life is by thinking about like these things that have happened in my life. I see them as roadblocks, but I always work around it. I have always decided, like, hey, look, I have this on my record now, but it doesn't matter. I am going to outgrow this. it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I have this. Like, I want to become undeniable. That, like, someone might not, someone will never be able to use this against me because of how hard I work. I will outwork my my setbacks.
I see. That's a noble idea. It's a noble thought, which is to be undeniable, right? To be so good they can't ignore you. Actually, that's commendable, Hasan, that he that he believes that. And yeah, that's solid. Again, of course, prevention is the best cure, but if you wind up in such a situation, there is nothing you can do, right? There is only move forward, right? There is no turning back, as it were.
And that's the way I live with it. And I think you can do that as well. It's a learning experience, and you get stronger as a consequence of that, as long as you don't repeat the mistakes.
Hey, Hudson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking up that you got a lot of guilt going on. And I'm perceiving that a lot of guilt is aimed towards your family and the sacrifices and the kind of inconvenience that they incurred because of your behavior. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay, bud. So first thing I'm going to say is you asked us an impossible question off the bat. How do I forgive myself? We can't tell you how to find self-forgiveness, right? That's literally a question that you have to ask yourself. What is going to allow you to find closure or peace or solace in the fact that you made mistakes? But one thing I would remind you is that your family is your family. Feeling that guilt, it might be counterproductive, right? Because your family made those sacrifices because they want to see you succeed. They want to see you do well, right? And so the mere fact that you're feeling anguish over it is counterproductive because your family wants you to move forward. The mere fact that you're letting it inhibit your growth is standing in direct opposition to the fact that they put in so much effort to make you succeed.
Actually, I'm inclined to agree with this as well. Now, sadly, that doesn't erase the feelings, right? But it's true. You can use your logic to override those feelings, right? With that idea that the feelings don't do anything to help me move forward. I need to physically take action in order to move forward, and that's the way to go, I think. If you want to fix something in your life that you believe is broken, the first step is admitting there's something wrong. And then there's making a plan and doing the actual actions that are required in order to execute that plan of improvement. If you're not doing anything and you're just sad about it, then you're not really improving anything, really.
So I think when we talk about alcoholism or anyism, a big part of that, not all of it, not every case, is control. And right now we live in an era where control is very difficult to come by. We live in a time that we are at the victim of so many outside influences. So whenever you can find small amounts of control in your life, like Hasan is a great example. Hasan lives a very regimented life. Like his workout, his diet, a lot of the things that he does are so that he can visit that control in his day-to-day life, feel like he has control over his life, and then use that to motivate himself to do things. And the last thing I'll say is this. I've fucked up. Hasan has fucked up. I'm sure most of the Chads and Chadettes in this call have fucked up majorly in this point in their life. The difference is going to be whether you use it to grow stronger or whether you let that mistake define you. Don't do that. Use it to grow.
Yeah, if you allow yourself to be defined by your mistakes, then it's just the wrong attitude to have, because everyone makes mistakes, it's true. And the severity of the mistake is luckily not so severe that he can't recover. It's absolutely true. Now, there is, platitudes, right? Like, once you've hit rock bottom, you can't go any further than rock bottom. There's only up to go from there. But ultimately, success in life has to do with action. So feeling bad does nothing. Action is what does things. So action, it should be the recommendation. Okay. Let's read a bit from Rollo Tomasi's book, The Rational Male. This is the chapter called Average Frustrated Chump. In the community, there's a lot of want for better terms. One of the major obstacles in the average guy's path to unplugging from his conditioned interpretations of gender relations is really coming to terms with the terms we use. Somewhere on the net, I'm sure there's a glossary of the common acronyms used in the manosphere outlining the various shorthand. Some of these terms have gone mainstream, and I'm beginning to see even legitimate online journalists use LTR, which is long-term relationship, ONS, one night stand. And it means there's a common perception that people already know what it means. The reason this is an obstacle for a lot of plugged-in guys is because it seems almost juvenile, like a treehouse club for preteen boys. For me to draw comparisons of an acculturated feminine social paradigm to the central plot of the Matrix movies, admittedly, it seems kind of silly. It's an apt comparison and useful allegory when you understand the concept behind it, but for a guy just coming to grasp it while being immersed in a feminine primary socialization, it doesn't click. And predictably, women invested in that same socialization see the terminology as a little more than little boys holed up in their treehouse, throwing rocks at the girls below. However, like any new developing science or other technology, there's always going to be a need to codify abstract concepts. We lack better terms, so are forced to create new ones to represent new concepts. The AFC, Average Frustrated Chump, was coined almost a decade ago with the mystery method. It's seen a lot of modification over the years, becoming almost synonymous with the use of beta, or herb, which is a herbivorous male. In fact, although I use it often, I rarely read AFC and PUA blogs, forums, or the community at large. Regardless of the terminology, the concept is really the crux of the term. Most AFCs, most guys looking in from the outside, can relate to the idea of what an average frustrated chump is. They can identify with it. Once they begin unplugging, the AFC idea comes into better focus, and usually with some discomfort, they realize how the term applies to themselves. Here are the qualities of an AFC. Oneitis, first and foremost, so they believe that in the myth of the one and that there's no girl better. Subscribes to feminine idealizations. Supplication is supportive. To comply with gender equalism, she must increase so that he must decrease. Relational equity is the base of a rational relationship. The savior schema, which is reciprocation of intimacy for problems solved. The martyr schema, the more you sacrifice, the more it shows devotion. The friend's debt, like let's just be friends. And the pseudo-friendship as a means to prospective intimacy. He primarily relies on dating and social skills developed during adolescence and early adulthood. A behavioral history that illustrates a mental attitude of serial monogamy and the related insecurities that accompany it. A belief that women infallibly and consciously recognize what they want and honestly convey this, irrespective of behaviors that contradict this, uses deductive reasoning in determining intent and bases female motivations on statements rather than objectively observing behavior. Believes women's natural propensity is for rational rather than emotional thought. They over-rely on rejection buffers. They believe in the identification myth. The more alike he is or he can make himself with his idealized female, the better he'll be able to attract and secure her intimacy. Believes that shared common interests are the only key to attraction and enduring intimacy. Believes and practices the not like other guys doctrine of self-perceived uniqueness even under the condition of anonymity. Considers long-distance relationships a viable option for prolonged intimacy. Maintains an internalized belief in the qualifications and characteristics of women that coincide with his ability to attract them. Thus, he self-confirms that she's out of my league and she's a loose girl mentalities on the fly to reinforce his position. He harbors irrational fears of long-term solitude and alters his mindset to accommodate or settle for a less than optimal short-term relationship, often with lifelong consequences. The AFC will confirm a belief in egalitarian equality between genders without consideration for variance between the genders. Ergo, men make perfectly acceptable feminine models and women make perfectly acceptable masculine models. Due to societal pressures, he unconsciously self-confirms androgyny as his goal state. This is anything but a comprehensive list. There are far more, but my intent here isn't to provide you with a list of criteria that qualifies an AFC. Rather, it's to give you some basic understanding to clarify the term and round out the idea. Needless to say, these mental schema are some of the impediments to unplugging, or helping another man unplug from his old way of thinking. As I'm fond of repeating, unplugging chumps from the Matrix is dirty work. Expect to be met with a lot of resistance, but understand the dynamics you may harbor yourself, or those that a friend might cling to, which will help you in moving past the years of social conditioning. It's thankless work, and more often than not, you'll also be facing a constant barrage of crap tests and ridicule in your efforts. Be prepared for it. Unplugging chumps is triage. Save those you can. Read Last Rites to the Dying. In the next few sections, I'll be explaining some of these plugged-in qualities in more detail. Okay, back to this video.
I don't know if this is as powerful because Will is way better at this than I am. But I will say, bro, you can't be mad at yourself for what you didn't know. Like, you shouldn't beat up on yourself and feel like you should have known better. That's like not a good way to, you know, you're just going to damage your self-confidence and all that. So that's just something I learned from my therapist, and that's something I practice. And so I just pass that on to you. And to Will's point, because you do have a clean slate, like, you have an opportunity to make your people proud. What you did is in the past, but you have an opportunity ahead of you. Like, there's still the future, and so you can make something out of that. It's not all for nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I appreciate that. Yeah.
For me,
Notice, when the girl comes in, she is solipsistically going to explain her perspective and generalize it to the population. The other guys, notice how they do like a generalized approach, talking in generalities, right? You see the difference?
you know, you have to put in preventative measures to not fall that hard like ever again. And for me, it was a lot about not harboring everything, because I'm a very stubborn person personally, and I don't like to let anyone in. I don't like to let anyone know when it's like hard or when it's difficult. But that's also kind of like my downfall, because then it may fall further, you know. So you have to recognize your triggers and recognize when things are getting really bad, and you do have to open up somewhere to someone. You don't have to like divulge everything into like one or two people, but definitely open up a bit more if that's not something you're used to. You're never alone in your struggles as much as you think that you are. Like, living through it feels much heavier than it really is.
Again, platitudes and garbage, but okay. Again, like girls giving guys advice when they haven't lived guys' lives, it's like, yeah, it's just different. Like, I would recommend that you listen to an older man for advice as opposed to some random girl, because what's going to happen is she's going to take her personal experiences and generalize them to the population and assume that that will help you, and it, like 99% of the time, won't.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
You have to have a good support system as well. That was definitely one thing that helped me tremendously in my time of need. Sorry, I'm hiccuping because I ate a very spicy pepper. It's fucking killing me. You know, my family, my friends, but especially my friends at the time, were incredibly helpful. And you know, you gotta eliminate negative influences from your life. If there are people out there who are, you know, not understanding of your situation and like trying to get you to drink or putting you in a circumstance where you have to drink and things like that, you should try to avoid those circumstances.
That's right. Prevention is the best cure. And he's right about support system. So it's like birds of a feather. I'm sure you've heard the expression. So if you are associating with a certain kind of person, you become like that person, like those people. So if you don't want to fall into the same traps as those people, don't associate with them. A law of power is avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. That's the principle here. If those people are driving you to make the worst of yourself, then don't associate with those people. Avoid those people like the plague.
I definitely recommend that. And that I highly recommend surrounding yourself with people that are positive influences and good influences on your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Wish you the best, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Thank
bold
you.
to say that on the internet, man. You should not beat up on yourself. You got a lot of that takes mental strength in and of itself, man. So
That's actually true. To admit in front of people that you have problems is hard to do. To admit weakness is hard to do. Now, again, I wouldn't recommend that you do it in public. As a man, you need to avoid showing weakness in public in general. That's just part of being a man. And of course, every man has his struggles. Every man has things that are wrong. Every man has things that he has to work on. The public sphere is not the place to share those problems, because the people that don't know you don't care, and the people that actively dislike you will be happy to hear it and will actively try to, you know, screw you over or hurt you. So you want to avoid that. You will confide these weaknesses and ask for advice from a small quantity of people that you know very well, that you trust, and that you know aren't going to, first of all, broadcast it, and second of all, aren't going to give you terrible advice that will hurt you further. These are important things to think about.
You'll be all right. I believe in you.
I appreciate it.
Kind of them to say.
Oh, Austin, don't listen to Hasan. You looked great in those cigarette fit fucking whatever those were.
Wait, wait. He said I look like shit?
No, you were there. Remember, I made fun of you for wearing the cigarette jeans.
My clothes. Oh, my clothes. Oh, thank you. I appreciate
no,
that.
I didn't say you look like shit in the fucking awesome photo shoot you did. You look awesome.
I thought you were talking about my photo shoot with me and
No,
Malcolm.
the photo shoot you look hot as fuck. That's not what we're talking about.
Oh, thank you though. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Pants were kind of awful though.
Wait,
Hasan, I brought Alina here. Just want to let you know that. But
oh hell yeah! Thank God.
Wait, what was awful?
Your fucking skinny jeans, but not entirely different.
Dude, those are hot, dude. I wore those on Christmas Eve, dude. I rocked them. I got so many compliments.
Okay, but now it's just a measuring contest, as it were. All right, let's go on to this Reddit post. Oh, baby, it's going to be a doozy. Here we go. This was posted 1 day ago on relationship advice. My husband, who's 33 and she's 29, found out his son wasn't his. Advice? I've been married to my husband for a year, together for 4. My husband was in a long-term relationship from high school to his early 20s. He has 2 children with this woman, ages 14 and 12. My husband had split with this woman because she was unfaithful to a new level. She'd bring different men home while he was deployed. Disaster. He never questioned his kids being his because he was unaware this was happening before his second child was born. A few weeks ago, my husband's ex was trying to skip our weekend with them, and my husband wouldn't stop bringing it up. And his ex dropped that, "Stop caring about him so much. Guess what? He isn't even your son." My husband didn't believe her at first, but the anxiety was piling on him. He ended up getting a DNA test, and his 12-year-old was not his. Okay. Before I read the rest of this, let me explain why N count matters. Past behavior is the best indicator of future behavior. If she has lots of previous partners, then she's a bad bet for paternity. What will happen is you as a man will have a disgust response to a girl that has a very high N count, right? Men also have disgust response to women that cheat on them, right? And that's very often one of the reasons why men will break off a relationship, right? The most common is using illicit substances or being a criminal. And the third one is cheating. Yeah. So she's much more likely to have a child with another man if she has high N count, and this is why men don't want to marry girls like that. This fear is expressed in this Reddit post very, very well. Okay. My husband doesn't love his son any less, and he still wants him every week. He raised the boy, he's his son. This phrase, right, that women say is a cultural construct. It's not the dad who made him, it's the dad who raised him who's the real father, right? But why is that cultural construct? Why does it exist? It exists for the purpose of manipulating men, right? Into being okay with their, wife having a child with another man. Because it's the guy who stepped up, not the guy who, whatever. But the truth is that this allows women to have their cake and eat it too. It allows women to cheat and then get away with it and have their bedroom fun strategy be fulfilled. And it's utterly ridiculous and disrespectful that cultural construct should even exist. You see? Anyway, though he is crushed and he had a breakdown on me crying, my husband went through 2 tours, went through years of PTSD, and this woman made my strong surviving husband cry. I'm so heartbroken for him, but I have so much rage towards her. He's trying to decide if he should tell his son or no, but he doesn't want his son to think his father thinks less of him. My husband is dealing with so many things in his head right now, and it's hurting badly. He's not himself. I just want to help ease some of it. Advice? By the way, when a girl admits that her husband was crying, what is she doing? She's signaling to everybody who's reading that her husband is weak, right? Even this story, where he finds out that his son wasn't his, that is also an admittance of weakness. She is broadcasting his inability to have his own children to a wide audience. It's actually a way to destroy his reputation. But it's under the guise of her wanting to help him. It's disrespectful. Okay, anyway, let's look at the top comment. 1.3k. If she's that cavalier about using the truth of the kid's paternity to hurt your husband, she may tell the kid to try and alienate him. It'd be good for your husband to talk with the guy and reassure him that it'll always be his son regardless of any differences in their DNA. If his ex-wife continues to deny him visitation or custody in any way, you may have to get a lawyer involved. Yeah, she's obviously cruel and manipulative. Obviously, that's the comment. The next one. The ex sounds cruel and manipulative to have treated your husband this way and say something so incredibly evil to him. If the son doesn't know already, he will, and your husband must act to present his own message to his son, so son doesn't only have the likely twisted message from his mom to digest. He should also see a family law attorney immediately, regardless of his ex's actions. He's been the child's parent for more than a decade, and he needs to know how to protect his rights. If the ex starts to use this paternity test to cause problems, you need to be armed with information and be an advocate immediately. Yeah, and somebody else says, this is putting it lightly, she's worse than just cruel. She's sadistic, with zero self-control. She's a garbage human being. Well, you know, you got to be careful who you choose to have children with, right? All right, we're going to end the video there. Again, if you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, you can go to my Patreon and subscribe. It's patreon.com/theheliosblog. Again, patreon.com/theheliosblog. You can also drop me a donation like Hunter M, Adrian R, or Tom M. Shout out to them. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to my video, especially if you listen to the end. I really do appreciate it. You guys are wonderful. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.